In this video, I'm going to share with you some tips, tricks, and best practices for making your eBay selling experience go more smoothly. These are things that I wish I'd known when I was starting out, so hopefully they will help you if you're just starting on your eBay journey. Of course, eBay reselling overall is pretty straightforward. Find things, flip them, make some money, but it's the little details that can kind of catch you up. So let's talk about some of the details that you might want to think about. And the first one is a little philosophical. It's trust your gut when you're looking at picking something up. If you're in the thrift store, you'll find stuff that you're like, oh my gosh, this is a screaming buy. I absolutely have to buy this. And then you'll find things that are like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. There's no way I'm going to buy this. And then there's the in between where you're looking at the comps and you're like, I think I can make this work. And I think this is a good buy. When you find yourself doing that hooking back and forth, equivocating, your mind's trying to convince you that it's a good buy, trying to convince yourself, but your gut knows this probably is not a path we need to go down. So listen to your gut and pass on things sometimes if you've got that problem. So many times I wish I had listened to that. I better not. Well, I will. And then I regret that I did. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is when you are looking at eBay comp results, be careful of what models they're showing you. You'll search for a particular model of electronics, for instance, and it'll show you a whole bunch of them, and you're like, wow, look at what these are selling for. But it'll mix in other models that may go for more than the one you're actually looking at, even though the models look very similar. So if we take a look at this Pioneer MD-M403 CD player here, you can see that, wow, this looks like it's selling pretty good. But if you start to look at it a little more, you can see that not all of these CD players that are being shown are the M403. They're different models, which can confuse you when you're in a hurry in a thrift store. So pay attention to the actual results with particularity when you're comping things out. That'll help you avoid some trouble. Another one is don't worry when you're starting out. I know I had a lot of fear about scams and new buyers. Would they be trustworthy? Don't worry about that. As a general rule, people are, I might get some blowback, but as a general rule, my experience has been that people are honest. They are trying to have a good transaction and they're not trying to scam you as an eBay seller. And I've never had a problem with new buyers that have zero or maybe only one or two reviews. I was really afraid of selling some more expensive electronics to new buyers when I first started. I was like, how do I get out of this? Oh my gosh, why can't I have why isn't there a setting where I can not sell to new buyers? Well, obviously eBay doesn't want that. It doesn't help their business model. And I just quit worrying about it because I've never had a problem with it. And for the most part, scams aren't an issue either. Maybe if you're in certain niches, like if you're in Apple products or designer stuff, you could run into more scams. Those are kind of known to. But for the most part, my experience has been that selling all sorts of electronics and all sorts of items, that there really aren't a lot of scams. That being said, another little tip, don't be silly. Whenever I list electronics, I always take a shot of the serial number for that particular electronic piece and put that in the listing so somebody doesn't return theirs that is broken and send me their broken one and they keep the one that I sent them that was good. So, I mean, don't fully trust people 100%, right? Like, trust but verify. But most people are trying to do the right thing. Related to that is returns. Returns will happen. And for whatever reason, and people just say they changed their mind or it got broken in shipment, and just accept them and know it's going to happen. It always feels really crummy when you get that email that says buyer has initiated a return. You're like, oh, feel like your whole world is crashing. Don't let it get in your head. It's going to happen. It's just a part of doing business. You'll have it too. Handle it, move on. Don't let it crush your eBay selling dreams. Just buy shipping supplies, buy the boxes, buy the envelopes for whatever it is you're selling. Don't try to just scavenge or find used boxes around your house. Get the stuff that you need so that you can be set up for success. Spending a bunch of time trying to find the right box or making a box Frankenstein it so that it'll work is just frustrating. It's a time sink and it's horrible. Now, that's not to say that you don't reuse shipping supplies that you get. We get a number of things from Amazon, and I'm constantly shipping things in Amazon boxes. But I ship a lot of baseball bats and golf clubs, and so I just went ahead and bought the 4x4 by 46, I think, length boxes. It makes it so much easier than trying to figure out how to pack up a long, narrow thing because they can be very difficult. You can find boxes at good prices at Walmart and at Staples. And at Staples, they regularly go on sale. So just buy the right size boxes and make your life a little bit better. Receipts. You get a lot of receipts when you're eBay reselling because you're going to the thrift store, you're buying office supplies, whatever you're doing. Have a system for keeping track of them and lock them down because they are gremlins. They will run away from you. It's amazing how I can go to the thrift store, buy something, put it in my pocket, and somehow between come home from the thrift store and getting to my office, I go to pull it out. I'm like, where did it go? I put it in this pocket. I'm exaggerating slightly, but not by much. These things tend to scurry off. So you got to have, this is where I put my receipts when I buy them, and when I get home, I immediately put them in this box or spear them on this receipt tab thing so they don't scurry off, because you're going to want to be able to test if you do electronics or things that need tested. You're going to maybe need returns because something's broken, and you're going to need to keep your receipts for your records, and they have a habit of running away. So have a clear system for how you're putting your receipts together and how you're handling them, and that will save you a lot of heartache and grief. Back to shipping. When you are packing things up, particularly this really applies to bigger items, oftentimes you don't know what it's going to weigh or how big a box it's going to take. And what I'll do is if I pack something up new, like a new type of printer, I'll keep a record of once I've packed it up, of what did it weigh and what were the dimensions. You kind of estimate when you're listing it. But once you actually pack it to ship, that's reality. That's what it really, really is going to be. And you don't really know on these big items until you pack it. Your estimates might be higher, they might be low, but then just get a spreadsheet or something and keep track of what the dimensions and weight were. So the next time you list that item, another one that you're going to sell, you can put it in the listing and you're spot on. You don't have to mess with trying to figure it out before it's sold. So just keep track of items, how big they are, how much they weigh, and that just makes life a little bit easier, and you have a little more confidence in your listings when you're putting the shipping information in. Don't necessarily use the drop box at the post office, the door or the drawer you open up, you drop your package. I use it, but sparingly, because it's amazing how often I will ship something that needs to go today, and I'll drop it, 15, 20 minutes before the post office closes, or sometimes more, like an hour, and it doesn't get scanned until a day or sometimes 2 days later. I mean, where has it been? What happened? I shipped it, and that's stressful. It shows up, which is good, but why did it take so long? And then I've had too many packages. I've dropped them in the slot, and they just disappeared. That was the end of it. The post office says they never got it, which is very, very frustrating because there's nothing you can do. The post office said they never got it. So what you want to do is generally take your packages to the counter, have them scanned in, watch them get scanned in so that you know that you've got the receipt, that they've received it, and it'll show up on eBay as the post office having it. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're working with the post office. And then the final one is stay curious. When you're in the thrift stores or garage sales, you probably have a niche that you gravitate towards, and that's great because you got to start somewhere. But look up other stuff. Just always be curious. Is this worth something? Is this worth something? This looks odd. This is unusual and different. If you see odd, unusual, and different, that's probably something you should look up. And you might be surprised sometimes at what things go for. So those are just some things, quick tips to keep in mind. And until next time, happy thrifting.